Now, people aren't supposed to...
We can all imagine what it might. So we all realize that there are certain things which we must do in traffic. Do we know why we must do these things? Another reason?
Well, sometimes isn't it so we won't be selfish?
Yes, that's a very important reason, and one that we often forget. Streets and sidewalks belong to, and we all use them. So we share them by being courteous.
Give before you cross the street?
That's right.
That's a rule.
You bet it is. We have traffic rules, which tell us how to be good citizens by reminding us to be alert and careful, as well as courteous and considerate. Can we think of some more rules?
Wouldn't another rule be stop, look, and listen at a train crossing?
Yes, that's a rule, and it reminds us to be alert. Let's have another rule.
There's a sign near our school that's for cars to make them slow down.
Yes, we have a rule that drivers must be extra careful when they go past schools and playgrounds. Now, how about some of the rules which help us to be courteous, thoughtful, and considerate?
Aren't signal lights at crossings to make us take turns?
That's a good example of a courtesy rule. Signals make us take turns by making traffic going one way wait for traffic going the other way.
When we ride our bikes, there's a rule that we must signal when we are going to turn a corner.
That rule helps us be considerate of others by letting them know just what we're going to do. Now, here's an important question. Whose job is it to enforce the rules, to see to it that everyone is alert, careful, courteous, and considerate? Do you know?
That's you, isn't it? Isn't that what policemen are for?
At first it may seem that way, but that's not entirely true. The traffic policeman's job is to help people to learn the rules and to remind them when they forget the rules. But traffic policemen can't be everywhere at once. There are lots more people to watch than there are policemen to watch them. You can imagine how silly it would be if each one of us had to have his own special policeman watching over him all the time, just to see that no rules were broken. No, that wouldn't be practical, and it isn't necessary. If you're a good citizen and want to be courteous to others and avoid getting hurt, you must be your own traffic policeman. Now, that's not as difficult as it might sound. Can anyone think of the first thing he might do in order to be his own traffic policeman?
Well, to be a policeman, you have to know the rules.
Yes, that is absolutely necessary. And after we learn the rules, then what?
Then we have to follow the rules.
Right. And that's all there is to it. If we know the rules and follow the rules, then each one of us can be his own traffic policeman. Would you come up here, Johnny? Now, Johnny's own traffic policeman is really up here in his mind. And let's imagine that Johnny's own... He looks like Johnny because he really is a part of Johnny. The part that learns and thinks about traffic rules and traffic courtesy. The rules and developing habits, he knows that his policeman will be there when he's needed. To remind him of the rules and warn him of danger. If Johnny really thinks about safety all the time and tries to learn all he can about safety, then he'll have a policeman to help him be a citizen. Let me tell you a story about a friend of mine and how his own traffic policeman was on the job to help him avoid getting hurt. His name is Jimmy, and on this particular day, his mother sent him to the store.
And I just need a loaf of whole wheat. This should be enough. And watch out for the cars on the road.
Yes, Mom.
Jimmy was thinking, mothers worry too much. After all, he was big enough to know the rules, like the one that he should walk down the road on the left side, facing the traffic, so he could watch out for cars. And Jimmy knew how to cross the road safely, too. He didn't have to be told to watch out for cars. Yes, Jimmy knew how to take care of himself. But the main thing we must all learn about safety is that accidents happen suddenly, and usually when we least expect them. Now we'll see why it was a good thing that Jimmy's own policeman was on the job with him that day.
Gee, Dick's got a new kite. Hey, Dick, wait!
And then Jimmy almost forgot to be alert. That is, he would have forgotten if his own policeman hadn't suddenly said,
Wait, let's not forget to be alert.
Jimmy stopped suddenly, realizing that he was about to break the rules. He could well imagine what might have happened to him if his own policeman hadn't reminded him to be alert. We all know that dashing into the road from between parked cars is dangerous. Jimmy knew it too. And because he'd formed the habit of thinking about safety, his own policeman was on the job to help him, even though he did almost forget.
Wait a minute, Dick!
After all, Dick didn't mind waiting just a little bit longer so Jimmy could take the time to cross the road carefully. And that's how Jimmy avoided getting hurt, because he'd learned the rules and had formed safe habits. Would you have remembered in time if you were Jimmy? Perhaps some of you have had an experience like Jimmy's, when you stopped yourself just in time to avoid causing a traffic accident.
I had one a few weeks ago. I remember I was tired of just skating around there, so I challenged Jane to a race. Come on, I'll race you to my house. Okay, if I can start it. Get set, go. I got off to a good start and pulled ahead of Jane. But even though I was ahead, I wasn't sure I could beat her. We had quite a distance to go, so I skated as fast as I could. I didn't want to give her a chance to catch up and pass me. And then I remembered that to get to my house, we would have to cross Maple Street. As we raced toward the crossing, I tried to decide whether I should stop at the corner and look for cars or not. After all, I would have felt silly if I had stopped and Jane didn't. She might pass me. Not many cars use Maple Street, so maybe it wouldn't be dangerous. But just... Hold on, you're forgetting to be careful. That was my own policeman talking to me. Quickly I imagined what might have happened if I had gone ahead and taken a chance. There was no way I could tell whether there was a car coming or not. It would have served me right for having been careless. It was a good thing my police helped me to stop and think of the rule of time, important enough to make me take a chance of getting hurt. I would stop, even if Jane did catch up. And I'm glad I stopped, because there really was a car coming. Ha, I caught up with you. Wait till we cross the street, then I'll beat you. We all know that stopping to carefully look both ways before we cross a street is an important traffic rule. It's when we are in too much of a hurry that we're likely to forget and take foolish chances. Well, Jane won that race, but I'd just as soon she had won as to have taken the chance of getting hurt.
Thank you, Helen. That was a good story. It showed that we should never be careless by taking unnecessary chances. Has anyone else had an experience like Helen's they'd like to tell us about? Billy?
One day, after school, Jack and I were playing together over in his front yard. We had my football. I wanted to kick the ball, but Jack said,
Better not, you might break the window.
Jack was right, but I still wanted to kick the ball, and the playground was pretty far from Jack's house. Let's go out in the street and kick it.
Okay.
We were just starting to go out in the street when my policeman made me stop and think.
Wait! What are streets for anyway?
Right then, I thought of what might have happened to us if we had gone ahead and played in the street. It's easy to be selfish and forget that children are not being courteous when they play in the streets. Streets are for cars, and they have the right of way. Of course, playing in the street can be dangerous as well as selfish, because a driver might not have sufficient time to stop. I'm glad my policeman was on the job to help me remember to be courteous and careful before I took a chance of getting hurt. Once I stopped to think about it, I changed my mind fast. Maybe we better not play in the street. It's too dangerous. All right, let's go over to the playground. After all, it was better to walk a few blocks to the playground than to have taken a chance of causing an accident. It seems silly now, but I really did almost forget.
That was a good story, Billy. You pointed out the selfishness of playing in the street as well as the danger. As good citizens, we must always remember to be courteous.
Do you want another story? Well, one day, Margie, she's a friend of mine, and I were walking home from school. I had promised my mother with some work, but we were a little late. What's the hurry? Come on, Margie, I'm late. There was a traffic signal at the next street we had to cross. Let's go. Wait, the signal's changing. I intended to try to beat the signal. Stop, it's not our turn. My own policeman was with me to help me remember the rules, and I quickly imagined what might have happened if I had forgotten to be considerate of the cars going the other way. I wasn't in that much of a hurry. My own policeman helped in time to remember to be a good citizen by waiting my turn. Signal lights are put at the corners to help us, and we must stop when they tell us to. Even though we were in a hurry, the moments it took while we waited for the signal to change didn't really make sense to matter. Our turn to cross the street was saved as the cars obeyed the signal and waited. That's when by remembering to be considerate, isn't it?
Yes, Barbara, it certainly is. Now I think we all realize the importance of being our own traffic policeman. Do we all agree that from now on we'll try to be our own traffic policeman?
Yes.
All right. What do we do first?
Well, we have rules.
That's correct. Then what?
Then we have to follow the rules.
And to be sure we follow the alert, careful, courteous, and considerate. That's it. But now, won't you just write it?